Hello and welcome to Pest Perspectives episode number 11. I'm back once again. I used to say this all the time on my old podcast, and they used to go back. I used to have co-hosts, and every time I'd say it, they would go back once again with the Renegade Master. They would. But yeah, back again. This week we'll be talking about EFK and all sorts within electronic fly killers, but a bit more than that as well. This week we have on Jasmin from Fotolec Technologies Ltd. Now, have I said that company name right?
You've said it perfectly.
Oh, that's all right then. How are you doing then, fellow board member of the MPTA?
Fellow board member. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. How are you?
Good. I'm okay. Cheers.
Good.
I am.
Good.
I've got a tablet as well. I've got like a list to make sure I got it right.
Well, yeah. All the exciting topics that we've got.
Well, they're a bit broad. They are one viewer. Hello, one viewer. Say hello in chat.
Hello to the number one.
Yeah. Right. So, also, if you are watching people and you obviously collect CPD, you can go, if you're part of the British Pest Register, which I am, you can go, I need to upload the last one. But based on how long the podcast will be, you're getting 1 point or 1.5 or 2, it varies. So you can get that. And if you're on the CPD or BPCA CPD diary, you can self-register. And if you're with basis prompt, watch this space. I have applied. I have given them all the data they want. I'm just waiting. So
I'm sure they'll get back to you.
They will. They passed all the information on, just the right person. YouTube, 2 people off YouTube. Hello, Stephen Garstone. There you go. And my good friend from Multi Electrical. How you doing, Steve? Local to me. He's a content creator as well. Shout outs to him. Yeah. But yes. So how did you get into the pest control industry? Because you're actually a pest controller, eh? But you're from the industry, like you tell people. I'll butcher it. I will.
Yeah, so obviously Fotolec Technologies Ltd, I'm sales director, and we have been supplying the pest control industry for many, many years now, but kind of under the radar, I suppose. So I don't think the company name would be known to most pest controllers, although if they've ever fitted a shatterproof lamp, chances are it was coated in our factory in Thetford. We are Europe's leading manufacturer of the shatterproof coating that goes onto the fluorescent lamps that you would typically use in an EFK or an ILT, depending on what you prefer to call it. So that's kind of where I became aware of the industry, because obviously that's a very large user of shatterproof lamps. Is any food related area would typically have a shatterproof lamp in their insect light traps. But recently we've become a little bit more kind of market facing, I suppose is the right way to call it, because we've developed obviously a retrofit LED solution, which we're really passionate about, and it kind of bridges that gap between fluorescent and LED. And it's meant that rather than just supplying kind of from behind closed doors, I feel quite passionate that we should be out there, feet on the ground, speaking to the people that use our product and understand, what problems do they face? How can we solve them? But equally, what problems are solved by our products already? And that's also why I obviously applied to be a board member for the MPTA, was to kind of understand the customers a little bit more and what they actually need from a product. So that's a little bit of a background as to how, as you said, I'm not a pest controller, but my awareness of the pest control industry started there. And I love it. I love the sense of, the sense of community. Even if people are technically competitors, it's all very friendly. People kind of compare solutions and suggestions. I'm on that, the Facebook group, UK Pest Controllers, and to see like people posting things on there and helping each other out. I think it's really nice, and I'm really passionate that that's important in an industry like this.
I feel like it's changing because there was a couple of years ago where I wouldn't go any of the pest control of Facebook groups. Rather than help, people use them. I wasn't involved in the industry much then, but what I used to see was very negative. Whereas people would rather take the mickey than help. But it's all changed. It has changed. People like to. 2 years ago it was now. But it has changed. Like, say somebody puts a box on there. God forbid the label's not on it, because it's not actually been set up yet. But that's the kind of stuff you were talking about a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I believe it's starting to change now with, I'd say, people listen to podcasts, people attending like BPCA, MPTA, networking events and CPD days. I would say over the past year or more, I'd say it's got more collaborative. And I think partly due to, I don't know, I think podcasts in the UK, like Beauties and Basics, may have helped as well. But I just think it's shifting a bit the way the industry is, because people weren't so willing to talk to each other and pass each other work. Like, when I get a B job, I pass it to a mate in Elliot from EM Pest Control, and he does the B job. I don't like taking cut. I just say, here's the details, give him a ring and sort it. But because we don't cover that work, we don't.
Yeah. So you're like helping each other out rather than sort of stifling one another. Do you think it's solely the podcasts and like the kind of on the road days and the events like that, or do you think there's a bit of like changing regulations in the industry, and the products and the tools that we use are often taken away perhaps, and so it really brings us closer together and to find alternatives and to find the best way around things? Do you think that helps the sense of community?
I do, because it's obviously with Vicam D's gone, rest in peace, bring it back.
Exactly. I know.
But no, you've got to try new methods. You've got to ask people that have already been doing it because I've found on the groups, on every dust and everyone's got a different opinion on it. It's so varied. Some people say Vulcan's great, never had a problem. Some people say it's rubbish. So it's hard to know, really, until you actually try it. I
think in a way, all those different opinions should be celebrated, because it's the same in anything, really. Like, some people have a particular EFK that they always gravitate towards, and then someone else could say, oh, I didn't get on so well with that one, and I use this one. And I suppose, in a way, it's quite nice that it's not everyone doing the exact same thing. We can all put our own sort of spin on what we're doing and how we prefer to use these things.
Oh, that's definitely true. It's I think it's good. It's good. It's a shift, because everyone was like, oh, I can't talk to him. He's my competitor. And to be fair, I do talk to some of the local people. I talk to the local pest controllers as well. So I may get one on in the future. That will prove it. That will.
Yeah.
But
it's about making sure that, there's enough jobs to go around, and, like you say, supporting and building each other up rather than tearing each other down, which some industries are incredibly cutthroat, like you described, with the Facebook groups in the years gone by. But I think definitely an industry as a whole is more collaborative if, like you say, you're building each other up.
I think it is now. Don't get me wrong, pest control is still cutthroat. It is, but I would say it's become more collaborative. I do, because it's I'm talking to a lot of people, and they have the same feeling. It's like, I wish I went to the MPTA Nottingham Day, which I missed.
That was a really good day. Yeah.
Everyone was saying how good it was, and people had noticed a shift as to the attitudes towards people that were there. They were more engaged, or it's what people were saying about it. There was a different energy or something.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day, and you would certainly, it was actually my first on the road day that I'd attended, and I would look around the room and not really, if I didn't already know that it was a room full of competitors, I wouldn't have guessed, because it was just people chatting, catching up, very friendly. And it was a really, really engaged bunch of people as well who were, asking the right questions. And it was a great day. Yeah, it was a great day. I've not been to any since then, but I am at the one in Buckfast Abbey on the 1st of May. So we'll see if that's
nice.
the same.
I'm not. People have asked me. I said it's 4.5 hours. So I don't really.
Yeah, it is a bit of a trek. It is a bit of a trek. Yeah.
Is it a trek for you then as well, or?
Yeah, it'll be about 5 hours on the train for me.
5. Are you speaking at this one, or?
I am. Yeah. I agreed to speak to it before I realised just how far away it is, but it's no harm done. I'll just get my laptop out on the train and get some work done while I'm journeying down there, should I say?
Yeah, that's fair enough. That is.
Yeah.
So when you got into, obviously, because the first time I spoke to you, you were like, I was looking at your LinkedIn, I was like, I've never heard of this company. And you were like, have you heard of shatterproof glass? Yeah.
Yeah, you were the reason I changed my bio, because you said to me, I don't actually know what you do from your LinkedIn bio. Yeah. So that was kind of a little helpful comment to make me realise that it's not obvious to people who don't know me where we sit in pest control. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's fine. You know me. I'm honest. Some people might like it, but what your LinkedIn doesn't say what it is. It probably helped more.
Social media. Social media is quite new territory for us as a business. To be honest, we've never really had a strong social media presence for the obvious reason that we've never been kind of market facing until now. And actually, I'm so glad we've made that change, because I've met so many really engaged people who it's not even just about the product, it's just about networking and getting to know people, such as yourself. So yeah, I'm really glad that we're now kind of a bit more market facing, and it's allowed me to kind of meet a lot of really good individuals who give you good feedback. I think feedback is really important when you're putting a product into market and knowing, what do people actually want, what do people need. So yeah.
It definitely is. It's social media is. I can see why social media. I've got to say, isn't easy. You are churning more content out. I've noticed optic catches, but let's get their wheels turning more.
I think it's my personal LinkedIn that doesn't post enough now. The company LinkedIn page is posting very actively, and we do get good views on it. But I tell you what it is that really social media, I like what you do, because you treat it almost like a diary, in that what you're thinking, you'll make a post about, and you shared a post recently that was quite divisive, but it was a healthy divisive post, and it sparked a lot of engagement. That one. And I liked that, and I think I need to do more stuff like that personally, because I don't treat my social media like a diary, and perhaps that's the way things are going these days.
So what it is it's about personal. If you ever want to look up a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk, but be prepared, he does swear a lot. But his company is a major company. They're like VaynerMedia. They work with like Coca-Cola and all the top brands. And he had a lot of his content helps, but it's all about personal branding, because it's like he explains you don't have to just say. He doesn't mention pest control, but say you're, I don't know, a paper company or a clothing company on LinkedIn. You don't have to just post about clothing. You can post about whatever you want. The personal brand, and that's kind of where I got a lot of this all from. Was from him. Because since my Instagram's blown up a bit now, since that one VR post, I'm gonna make another one probably. See if I can enrage them even more. But the reach is at 125,000 at the minute.
Really, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's posting all the other posts as well. But yeah, you've got to. It's a hard one with social media, because I've had to learn, you've got to be prepared for if you get a backlash as well, because you often will. And the divisive post was the divisive post I made, which was don't put animals on social media, dead animals on social media, I was actually worried going on the Beauties and Beasties podcast about that. Although I said it was all good, I thought the chat was going to eat me alive, and they didn't. Everyone were nice. There were different talking points, and it was all different angles.
Community, because everyone had different opinions in that chat, but no one was cutthroat about it. You know, it was just literally sharing opinions, and I was in the chat as well, obviously making a few comments, and it was nice. It wasn't cutthroat, and like you say, you've got to be prepared for some backlash on social media. And I think for me, social media, the main kind of reason I don't post more is like more of a timing issue. But I'm very mindful. I mean, you mentioned that person that you sort of learn about content creation from. I heard a good analogy once, which is like, if you go to like a dinner party or something, you don't gravitate towards the people that only talk about themselves. You gravitate towards the people that ask you questions and speak about more than just what they're interested in. And I guess that's a good example for social media as a whole, isn't it? That you can't just talk about one thing on there.
No, it's not an easy thing, social media, but even like the Gary Vee says, you can't just give it 2 weeks. I'm done. I've tried it. You've got to get better and try different things. It's like I will give you it. You are correct. Social media takes a lot of time. If you were to ask my missus how long I spend messing about on LinkedIn and content, you'll get to speak to her in November. She'll tell you.
Oh, yes, she'll be at Pest Perspectives. Yeah.
Yes, and
he's always on social media.
I am,
but you have to, like you say.
Well, it works to a degree. Obviously, a lot of it's personal, my personal brand, and the podcast is boosted massively due to that. But it's a case of learning, though. You don't have to. Yes, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you find that, speaking specifically about open pest control, do you find that you generate more business from social media? Because I guess when we were talking about, on the Beauties and Beasties podcast about the dead animals, the point that I made that I stand by is, I'd love to know, does it actually generate revenue to put those kind of outrageous posts out there that prompt a reaction? I know it means more engagement, but does that engagement translate to more business as a pest controller with their kind of, at the rock face?
I don't actually post dead animals, as you know, but I post on weirdly Nextdoor, and I actually use Nextdoor as a content platform, just like I do anything else, right? And I have got a lot of work through Nextdoor for posting videos. Okay. Now, I did post videos of wasp nests, but I never actually did when you do it, I didn't show that bit, I just showed the before and the after. And that used to get a lot of, but that got hate as well. Oh, you're killing all the wasps. They're killing all the wasps. Really? But with that, the reach on the post skyrockets upwards. Believe it or not, when somebody complains, it goes up.
Because it's good engagement, isn't it? Whether it's
I always thank them. I always thank them and say thank you for your input. My post it's gone up now. But
more people will see it.
I've never posted dead animals, but I would say that in general, me locally, because I've been in a local paper, 2 at local papers, I'm on all the socials. I would say that a lot of people do ring through a lot of my social content. I'm not saying all of it, because Google guarantees a very good way, but we also have our recurring customers that come back year after year for like wasp nests or say they've got moles, things like that. But you are right there. Someone says Stephen says Nextdoor actually works quite well for generating local work, but I really couldn't cope with all the negativity rubbish from who wanted the local rats to be roam free. Yeah, you got to. Your problem is there, Stefan. You got to get the mindset where you don't actually care what they say, right? But you don't go back at them like a child. You don't. I often ignore some of the comments because some of them want you to bite. They're not there. They're there to argue. But like, I had to correct somebody that moles weren't. It's not illegal to kill moles, and I had to explain the laws on how it works, because it's the point of suffering that's illegal. if you do proper mole capturing, it's instant death. It's perfectly fine.
Right.
No, regardless to say,
Well,
I didn't get a response after that because I explained it.
no.
I did. But,
yeah. Well, I suppose going back to that point about people wanting local rats to roam free, I think that's all about perspective, isn't it? Because the minute that the rat is in your property, I think you'd want that rat taken care of. And until then, does it matter what they say? Like you say, you kind of just have to rise above it.
Yeah, you have to judge what. I had on one post. It was a post of I was in another local thing, and it was like, I didn't bite. Oh, it depends what you call the pest. Like, come on, depends what you call the pest. I didn't reply. They're looking for you to bite and tell them what a pest is, so they can argue back. But I just ignored it. That's what they're looking for. They were baiting you in. Right. That's what they were trying to do. But yes, Stefan, your social media, you've got to be thicker skinned. You have, and that's why a lot of pest controllers are scared to use it in general. It is, but it does take a lot of time. However, shall we give some people some EFK information, Jasmine?
That's what they're all here for, I'm sure.
Yeah. Are they banning fluorescent tubes? Are they going to be illegal? Come on, they're going to arrest me.
So, I don't think that's a clear yes or no answer, and I'll explain why. If you look at general lighting, so like the lights that you would have in your home or your garage, it's something that is purely just illuminating a room and has no other function. Fluorescent lamps in that application were banned in 2023. And so I think that it was at that point that the industry went a little bit crazy. Everyone suddenly thought, oh no, they've banned them in this application, we're next. Which is an understandable connection to make. And I have to say, I think that wasn't helped by some sort of scaremongering by those in the industry who probably knew better, but were sort of using it as a way to push their LED product maybe early, maybe encouraging customers to upgrade early, which of course is a capital outlay for them. And you can understand why some irresponsible organisations would attempt that, not all. But realistically, general lighting was on a path to be banned from around 2011, and it took all the way until 2023 for that ban to happen. And the reason being is that a ban generally does not take place until, if you imagine every single type of EFK that you can get, so not just the linear T8 18-inch, the common ones, but even like the obscure kind of more compact fluorescent ones, like the energy saver bulb looking ones. There's many different shapes and styles of fluorescent lamps, and you would need a retrofit LED solution for pretty much every single socket before that ban can take place, which is what happened in general lighting. It took from 2011 until 2023 for you to basically look at any socket in your home, regardless of whether it's a 6-foot lamp or an 18-inch lamp, and be able to find an LED alternative that fits into your socket without you having to buy a whole new fixture. So that's how many years that took in the general lighting space.
Like in my kitchen, though, it's really weird. I've got an LED light thing, and like when it breaks, they come out and they take the entire thing out and replace it. I thought that's wasting more. What? I don't understand. You have to replace the whole thing.
That's actually becoming the next thing in general lighting to be regulated on. So there's a big focus in the lighting industry on a circular economy, which would mean that. And you might have heard about it with washing machines and things as well, because there's quite a big push at the minute, even in washing machines and white goods, that if they break, you should be able to reasonably repair them and use the same housing rather than just send a whole washing machine to landfill or send a whole light fitting to landfill. That kind of emphasis on a circular economy is exactly that. They don't want masses and masses of light fittings to have to go to be disposed of. I mean, that's not sustainable. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. And so realistically, what we know now about the fluorescent lamps that we use in our EFKs or our ILTs is that the when something is on a pathway for restrictions or regulations, the longest extension you can ever request and be granted is 5 years. So the last extension was granted on these tubes that we use for insect control in 2022, which means that 5-year extension is up in 2027. So a lot of people would take that to mean, oh my goodness, the lamps are being banned in 2027. And that is just simply not, we don't know yet. We don't know yet exactly what will happen. But based on what we know about how many retrofit lamps are available in market, how many traps are still in service that need to continue to be serviced. I mean, if you think a brand new trap that you buy today, maybe just a 2x15 watt, you don't want to have to bin that in less than 2 years' time because you can't get the lamps anymore, because that trap is going to go for years and years and years, and you bought it today, a brand new trap. So realistically, based on all of that information, the lighting industry widely believes and is extremely confident that we will see another 5-year extension, which would take us to more like 2032.
Okay.
Because that extension would start in 2027 when the current one lapses. Now, that's not necessarily to say that it will definitely be 5 years. They may look at where we're at and say, do you know what, we only need another 3 years actually, and that's enough time to get the retrofit space up and where it needs to be. But certainly what we do know is that they're not going to suddenly become unavailable within the next 2 years. There's no need to, and that's something that I feel really passionate about, and is really part of the reason why Fotolec collectively decided that we needed to push a retrofit solution, is because I really do not want end users or technicians to be made to feel like, oh my gosh, I need to spend several £100s on a brand new trap before I'm ready to. If they're ready to, if their trap's hanging off the wall and is just done, it's been there for 15 years and absolutely needs replacing, by all means replace the trap. But what I don't like is the thought of someone having to upgrade early or feeling like they have to part with money early, because it's not just necessarily about the ethics surrounding, they've not really got their money's worth out of that fluorescent trap because they're binning it early. But it's also, for me, where's that going? That's going to landfill. That's being disposed of. We've got a serious sustainability issue on our hands as a planet. And that's not helping things. So my view is that LED is not truly sustainable if it means prematurely disposing of a unit that is on the wall. And I think most people live their lives like that anyway. I mean, like if you had a light fitting at home, which you could just buy a new replacement bulb for, whether it's an LED bulb or an old-fashioned bulb, you're going to do that. You're not going to say, do you know what? I'm going to go and buy a whole new light fitting and then get that wired in. And, it's common sense, isn't it?
Well, yeah. So I was thinking of that. You beat me to the punch now. That explaining that, because I'm going to ask you, why was OptiCatch invented? And there you are.
That's why.
There you go. That's the reason.
There is more to it than that. That's the main reason. But also, I think where we've been until now, if you look at all the different fluorescent EFKs that you can buy and have been able to buy for many years, they all do have different efficacy levels. They do all catch flies in slightly different ways. I'm not saying that they all catch flies exactly the same, so please don't think that. But they are all quite predictable in that they will do their job really well. They will catch flies well, irrespective of which trap you select. As long as it's placed properly, it's at the right height, it's in the right placement for, where you need to put it in order to catch insects. So, broadly speaking, they are relatively predictable. But as you move into the LED space, it's not quite the same. It's not quite just, you can slap any LED trap on the wall, maybe like an unbranded LED trap that you've been imported from the East and is perhaps not regulated in terms of catch rates, things like that. You can't just assume that an LED UV light source is going to catch flies as well as the fluorescent light source that you're replacing. And so I think there's strong, making shatterproof coatings for fluorescent lamps mean that most of our end users are food industry. And in a food industry setting, whether that's food manufacturing or food handling in restaurants, you can't compromise on the fly catch. It's what you've got it for. So those customers can't just blindly buy any LED trap and put it on the wall and expect to necessarily catch the same amount of insects as what they were catching before. And I think that can be problematic in certain applications. I fully appreciate there are some applications that it doesn't matter. It's a box tick. They've ticked a box to say they've got an EFK. They're never going to look at how many flies are on the glue board. It just doesn't bother them. But for the food industry, which is, relevant to all of us, none of us want flies in our yogurt or our pasta or anything like that. They need to be sure that when they upgrade to LED, it is an upgrade. And that means that you do not compromise your fly catch. And I think that's where the market at the moment, the LED market is still in its infancy. And I can imagine that for technicians especially, it's a bit difficult for them to separate, which trap is going to mean that my client's fly catch is not disrupted and is not going to drop, because that can be quite embarrassing for the technician if they've said, oh, look, you need to upgrade, and then it's not really an upgrade. We were actually at an exhibition in Milan back in February where quite a large end user for a large retail giant actually approached me and said that they had upgraded to a certain LED trap. They'd been told they had to because of the fluorescent ban, which, as you know, is a bit unfair. It wasn't true. What happened was they needed double the amount of traps in order to catch the same fly. So any money they're saving on energy savings is completely tied up in buying double the amount of traps, and they can't just catch less flies knowingly. It's food manufacturing for a very big retail giant in the UK, and so I think that shows that it's really important to be considerate, not just what you're, are you retrofitting, are you utilizing your existing equipment, but how does this product compare to what my fluorescent lamp was doing? Where's the independent catch rate data to show me this is how many flies the fluorescent equivalent would ordinarily catch in a 3-hour window, and this is how many flies this LED product does, and are they the same or better on the LED side? Because LED is more expensive, isn't it? So you don't want to pay more and catch less. I know obviously you've got the energy savings, which is a huge plus, and the lack of mercury, it's a huge plus for the planet. There's so many benefits to LED, but you certainly don't need to rush to upgrade at the detriment to what you're ultimately doing, which is pest control. You need to control the flies.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's like I'll tell you who come to mind is Jacob from Atlas Environmental Services. Now he does a lot of audited sites, like you say. Now, when he changes the bulbs, he put a few weeks ago or months ago, it was when he was doing his bulb change. There's me thinking he's got a few. And I think he had something like 200 or 300 bulbs to change and service all them machines. So imagine saying to a client, right, it's all going by the wayside. We need to chuck all these in the bin, or however you eco way. That would be astronomical amount of money, wouldn't it? If you were to say to a client, we've got to upgrade, you got to get a new unit, the lot. Now, a retrofit would be perfect for that scenario, wouldn't it? So that's why it's quite good. That's what I thought about when you said that, because when he has big clients, and when you've got people on that scale, it's like, wow, that would be a lot of money. It will be, if you were to replace the entire units and everything, it will be.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a place for new LED units, but I think it's all about what's best for the customer and their application, because, there are some units that we can't retrofit into yet. It's not technically viable yet. So, the ones with the starters in, which are the most common ones, they retrofit fine, but any 15-watt T8 kind of unit that doesn't use a starter is using an electronic ballast, and there is not currently a retrofit solution on the market for those ballasts, because it's just a lot more difficult to get it right and make sure that it functions exactly right in every trap. And not only that, but it becomes incredibly more costly. So going back to general lighting, you can get retrofit LEDs in general lighting, and you have one LED lamp that does the switch start unit, so the ones that use a starter, and you have another retrofit LED for the electronic ballast, so the ones that don't use a starter, and you're looking at 3 times the price for the one that doesn't use a starter, because there's just so much more circuitry complexities involved in that development. And so right now in the insect control space, in the UVA space, there is only retrofit possibilities for switch start units. So, you know, if you have a customer, for example, that has, like you say, 200 or 300 lamps worth of traps, and they're all electronic ballast, well, unfortunately, retrofit isn't currently an option for them. But if I were talking to them, I would say, don't rush. If fluorescent is doing its job right now and you're happy with it, keep using your fluorescent lamps, because who knows where the developments in the coming years will go on retrofit. We might get more, you know, it might become more technically viable, I suppose. But also, it might be possible to get, you know, the lamp form factor that you know and love. So, you know, going back to it, like an OptiCatch, it looks exactly like a fluorescent lamp. It fits exactly like a fluorescent lamp. It's a very predictable solution. You can buy new traps with OptiCatch in it. So if someone really wanted a normal, quote, normal lamp style, but they need to upgrade their fittings, there is still a solution there, because I think that's another resistance in the market, is that all these different LED traps, they've all got different fixings and they all do different things. And some customers just really like what they've always had, which is just that lamp form factor. They know what it is, they know what it looks like, they know exactly when they need to change it, and they're just happy with it. So obviously the benefit is that OptiCatch needs changing every 3 years rather than every 1 year. But other than that, the replacement process is largely the same. It's, you know, whether you're putting an OptiCatch in or a fluorescent in, it's exactly the same for the technician, which I think just makes life a little bit easier, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but now I'll play devil's advocate. Now, I know there's some resistance in the industry, obviously, because, say, OptiCatch bulb, you replace once every 3 years. Replacing bulbs is quite lucrative. It is, as in the fluorescent bulbs, they can make quite a lot of money. And that's why a lot of people ain't switching, because they're not going to be able to service it like they were before. They can service it, but the customer be like, you really need to charge that. You're just literally cleaning it out, you know. And I have heard that. I have.
Yeah, and I completely acknowledge that. And actually, that was part of our consideration during the development, is that, you know, you could take an OptiCatch bulb, which pays for itself in its lifetime for the end user, but how does that sit with the technician? And I think I've spoken to a lot of technicians about this, and it's quite divisive. Some would say, as you say, that, you know, it removes revenue for them because they use the yearly replacement as a service, as something that they upsell, and they obviously can, if they want to, put a margin on the actual lamp itself. And others say, do you know what, I'm glad that I don't have to go and change that every year, because that's, you know, it's one less thing to do. You know, they're still going to change the glue boards. And I think, again, it does depend on if it's glue board traps or killing grid traps, because glue boards would probably be changed. I mean, in a food environment, I'd expect it to be changed at least 4 times a year. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. So they're still going, they're still going to that anyway. But obviously, non-food environments, I can totally see why it reduces that visit, and therefore the associated fees that you can charge with it. But I would say, you know, in that case, I'd say keep buying fluorescent. I'm not trying to push anyone to OptiCatch if it's not right for their circumstances. Keep buying fluorescent. I'm very passionate that the fluorescent supply chain has got, as I've said, many years ahead of it. And I think that the best way to approach LED is, here's all the benefits of OptiCatch. Here's the reasons why I think it's good. But if you don't, keep with your fluorescent. Why change it if you're not ready to? Why change it if it's not going to suit your personal business model?
I love that, because it's genuine. It's not like, buy my OptiCatch, it's the best, you must do it. Like, you're like, if you're happy with what you're happy with, carry on. It's like, because that's how you can tell it's not all about money for you. It's at teaching people education and letting people have what they're happy with. Say, for instance, as well, I mean, I don't sell many EFKs. I try, but I fail. I do. A lot of my clients just not interested. I'll be honest. I try, but, you know, It's just one of them things in e-commercial.
It's not massively regulated in those particular applications, is it? So it's like, well,
pubs and restaurants.
I know.
If they don't I tell them that your EFK is rubbish in a nice way, and then I can get you a good one. Nah, I'm not interested.
I think what you'll find is maybe people will come around to it when they have a fly infestation one day, and they think, oh.
I said that to one customer. I did. I said it's not a problem now with the EHO, but say the EHO walks in the summer, and you've got a fly infestation, then it will be a problem. But I have offered them it. All you
can do is advise them that, because, like, for us, pest control is proactive. Pest control should never be, ideally, reactive.
Yeah, I know.
But if your customer decides to approach it reactively, and they're just going to not have something in place until the time that they get an infestation, well, you've done your bit. You've advised them what they need to proactively do, but you can only say so much. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
It's true. It is. It's but no, it's just I do try. That's why I don't know a vast lot about EFKs, because I don't sell that many of them. That's why I'm testing that Bauer one at the minute. I'm going back tomorrow, so I'll have a look at it. I will, but that's for cluster flies, that is.
I remember you saying that one of your clients has cluster fly problems.
Yeah, it's a big manor house, though. It's gonna, it's not a little house; it's massive.
No.
But I'll see how it's doing. But yeah, it's why I wanted to get you on, to help you dispel a lot of these myths and help educate people about EFK. So Stefan has said, surely the big cost of servicing an EFK should be the actual catch analysis and the advice that goes with it, and that is still needed on a regular basis. That's true.
Completely agree.
There we go.
And that goes back to the industry knowing its value and knowing its worth, because the value we add is not just replacing a lamp. Because let's face it, we all replace lamps in our home ourselves. It's not really where our expertise come into. Our expertise come into the catch analysis, and making sure that we are proactively managing pests, in which case, absolutely right, that's really the value added. But I can understand totally what you're saying as well, Shaun, that some people view it as a loss of revenue. But that being said, I would argue that what's best for the end user is where you add your value as a technician, because you're putting solutions forward for them that really suits them. And if they're going to see a payback period and a reduced carbon footprint, they'll remember that. They'll remember that you've suggested that to them. And okay, you're not charging for that lamp every year, but you're still their preferred supplier because you've been honest with them about what's out there.
That is true. It's like before, even with our business, sometimes we have customers call and we don't end up getting it ends up something they can solve themselves. But we often have customers where we're given free advice to, and we haven't got them this time, but they'll ring back in a few months. And the same person, so I rang you, and they come back to you. So sometimes giving them that advice, even if they don't end up being your client down the road, it can happen where they come back to you. They can.
I think it's trust, isn't it? They build that trust with you, and they realise that you're not just out to make a quick buck. You're just giving them a little bit of free advice, and that means that they don't expect you to be really greedy with what you charge them if they ever do come to you for something, because they thought, well, he gave me that advice for free. He wasn't trying to put a pound note to everything. So sometimes that's worth its weight in gold, isn't it? Just having that relationship built and the trust there.
Oh, it is. It's we once got a Google review from it. We didn't ask this person, but we got a Google review from giving out some free advice that solved the problem. Didn't ask for it, but you
didn't take any money for that advice, but I bet that Google review got you business in some way down the line. So you did gain from it down the line. And I think that's really, a good part of this industry is that, most of the people that I encounter and speak to, they actually just want to make sure that what they do is what's best for their client, and they just genuinely care about the service they offer. And that's what separates a really good supplier from a not so good one, I think. Someone who's just trying to make a quick sale, quick buck, not thinking about what's best for the customer, I don't think they last as well long term. I don't think they do as well off of that long term as the person who's been trustworthy. And that's where true. I go back to the truth about fluorescent lamps is as important as the truth about retrofit LED, because some customers just don't have the money to even upgrade, even to retrofit LED. It's still an initial higher cost. Now, it does pay for itself in its lifetime, so it's not costing more over the 3 years, but it's still an initial outlay that not everyone has. Not everyone has the money to spend extra at their annual relamping, in which case fluorescent is fine for them. So it's about knowing what suits each individual client, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. So, when you buy EFKs, or not EFK, the LED, you do your LED, is there each bulb you buy for LED in pest control, how you mentioned what fly catch this will get versus other bulbs? Is there any charts, or is there any information when you're buying bulbs available? And I reckon you're going to tell me, no, not really.
Well, I suppose I would argue that every single manufacturer will have tested their product against everyone else's. So every manufacturer knows exactly how their product compares to others, but they're never going to particularly part with that, because even if theirs is good, it's potentially bad-mouthing their competitors, which is not very ethical business practice. And if it's not good, of course, they're not going to bring that to your attention. So I think whether it's better or worse or in the middle, I don't think anyone would part with that information. And what I would say is the best thing to do is ask for independent catch rate data compared to fluorescent, because then it's not comparing it to another brand. You're not comparing it between one manufacturer to the next. You're comparing it to this is the fluorescent lamp that I know does what I need. This is the fluorescent lamp I've got on the wall. How does it compare to that? Because that's completely impartial then, isn't it? And it still gives you a good idea of if your client is going to see an increase in fly catch, which is what we would hope for, or unfortunately some solutions will offer a decrease in fly catch, and that can be quite worrisome depending on their application.
So is that what you suggest people do when they're researching what LED bulbs to go for? Because I imagine most pest controllers won't have a real big clue. They're going on what they're being told. They are.
No, and I think that the pest control industry, a lot of the technicians that I've spoken to, they form a trusting relationship with one or two manufacturers, and they would then just buy the product that's available to them through that. And I think there's a lot of, I understand there's a lot of ease of trying to get everything from one or two places rather than having accounts here, there and everywhere. So I do understand that. But certainly if you've got a client who absolutely cannot compromise their fly catch, particularly if it's a high sensitive, like a food manufacturing facility, beverage manufacturing, any food handling, I think going the extra mile and just asking for that, well, have you got the independent data to show how this compares to fluorescent? Because a manufacturer that says no, I think that says more than just the word no. I think that tells you what you need to know about that product. For example, if you said to me now, Jasmine, can you email me how OptiCatch compares to fluorescent lamps, you'd have it in your email inbox before this podcast was over, because I have the data there ready to share for anyone who wants it. I'll send it as soon as this podcast is finished.
I'm joking.
Yeah. So I think it's whether or not you get the data, how your question is met tells you all you need to know about the product. And another area would be warranty. I've seen some LED products on the market, whether it be new units or retrofit bulbs, where they would quote a 3-year lifetime, but the warranty is only 2 years. And to that I would question why, because if that fails in its 3rd year of life, your client is not getting any kind of warranty claim out of that, which could potentially make you as a technician, it could put you in an embarrassing situation where they're hoping for a replacement and they're not going to get one at the cost of the manufacturer. Well, that leaves you in a very awkward situation. So I would say that the rated life, if it's saying it's a 3-year replacement, I would absolutely expect a 3-year manufacturer's warranty. And that, again, is that quality assurance, which means it can't come back on the technician. Because if you came to my fish and chip shop tomorrow and you put an LED product on the wall and said it's got a 3-year life, and then in 2.5 years' time it's not lit, it's not working anymore, I'm going to say, Shaun, You told me I had 3 years out of this, so are we
Exactly.
getting a replacement? And you're going to have to
Exactly.
say, no, it's a 2-year warranty. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but it's a 3-year life. So
Exactly.
personally, that would be the two things I would always ask for. How does it compare to fluorescent, and what is the warranty attached to it? That
is great information that hopefully people, technicians or businesses that are listening, can take in, because it's a new field, it's a new area, isn't it, for technicians? So they've had the bulbs evolve, but you can still carry on using them. But for the future, people are going to need to know what. I mean, to be fair, we buy off a few suppliers, but we don't buy many bulbs. We actually got quite a few fluorescent bulbs left in the stores, but bait, traps, etc. We do buy off a few suppliers. However, we will go where the best deal is. Horse trader, you got to make money, ain't you? You have. We will buy where the best deal is. We will.
Of course, as long as you're doing that for a like-for-like product. So, for example, if someone's got if someone's got a really cheap unbranded LED retrofit over here, and I'm selling an OptiCatch, I'd expect OptiCatch to cost a bit more money. But again, it's got the 3-year warranty. Your customer's not going to be on the back foot if it fails early. So definitely, I think you've got to follow the best deals, but also what's best for the customer in question. I do also appreciate that, technicians are very busy, and to take the time to ask the questions that I'm saying you should ask it's very easy for me to sit here and say to do that. But in practice, day to day, perhaps you need a solution quickly and you don't have the time to ask those questions, which is why I would say ask the questions now before it's needed. Just pop an email to your supplier and ask those questions, and then you've got it for if and when you've got a customer that wants to buy a retrofit product. You've got the data, you've got the warranty information to hand. There's no harm in asking that now, rather than suddenly you need to buy one quickly and you don't have the time to do the rounds, shall we say.
That's true. I mean, obviously I was just generalising that with LED lights I wouldn't compromise, except lights I wouldn't. I was just about general products. I was with that comment.
You're right, to be honest, because there's always going to be a customer who doesn't care. They don't want what works. They want what's the cheapest possible. And, sometimes it doesn't matter what you want to do. If they want what's cheap, you're going to have to find what's cheap, aren't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes I've even offered them like a like-for-like product that is in their, their premises. Well, it's broke. And I've even said, we've got this at this price, but if you don't want to pay that, we've got products that are lower down. And I tried that, and that didn't work either. But I'm better at selling. But it just, if someone's not interested, they're not interested. But some people know how to sell better. They do. There's just some people. Well, I've got a friend who literally can sell EFK machines like they're sweets, and I'm not kidding you. He can. I tell you.
Because I don't actually think there's anything wrong with how you sell, but do you think it's that they're going into applications where EFKs are more accepted and more kind of embraced?
I would say so. That's probably it.
Yeah.
That's probably it. That is. But yeah, that's some good myths dispelled. That is. Have you got anything else that needs dispelling within the bulb world? Or EFK machines,
I do. When you buy a retrofit LED, if you choose to buy one, there are various brands available, as you know, and a few of the brands would say, well, you can't just buy a new LED bulb. You need to buy a different glue board because the glue needs to be tacky. So what the logic there is what they're saying is that in the absence of the heat that the fluorescent lamp produces, the fluorescent lamps run very hot, as you will know. LED lamps run considerably cooler. So their argument would be, in their tests and their data, they found that they need tackier glue in order to secure insect catch.
Okay.
Now, in our data, and I can only speak of our data, we've had independent lab tests done on our product. We were able to catch 10% more flies with OptiCatch using the exact same glue board, the universal glue board that would ordinarily be in a fluorescent trap. And so there's part of me that thinks, well, I've not seen any scientific data personally that suggests you do need tackier glue for LED, because to be honest, if I had a glue board here on my desk now and I put my hand on it, it's bloody sticky, right? There's no heat on that, right? But I can feel it sticky, and I think a fly's
you
got
still
no
stick
hope.
to it.
Yeah. A fly's got no hope of getting off that once it's landed on it. So for me personally, I've never seen any data that would suggest you need a LED specific glue board, and I would question whether that is necessary. Certainly, if anyone was looking to upgrade to OptiCatch, they absolutely would not need to change what glue board they've got. And I think a lot of people have stock of their, their existing glue board and would want to use that stock. LED glue boards probably, I would guess, come at a higher price point, and I would say that perhaps there's other reasons why that's suggested, and that's just my observation, because again, I've not seen any scientific data to suggest it's necessary. But again, I don't think a technician's going to ask that question and challenge that, because why would they? They trust these people. They're buying many products from them. But I think it's just another step. Oh, we can't just change the bulb. We've got to change the glue board as well. And I've got 3 boxes in my van that I want to get through first. And, I think it's important to know that it's not actually necessary for every single retrofit LED that's out there. And I certainly don't see why you would need to do that. I mean, as you say, they're sticky enough. You're going to get stuck to them if you're a fly, irrespective of how much heat is or isn't in front of it. So that's another myth that I often hear.
It sounds to me more like an upsell to sell more glue boards.
I don't know. If they've seen data that I haven't, then I eat my hat. But certainly with an OptiCatch product, there is no need to change glue board. We've got the data to validate that, which is what I think is important, is that for the product you're buying, what is necessary and what is an upsell.
Okay. So when you're obviously going through the creating OptiCatch, you obviously got scientists. You have scientists working for your company, or is that how it works? Or we have a research and development department. So and that's not just for OptiCatch. I mean, we the main area of our business is shatterproof coatings, as you know, but actually we have other products which don't form part of the pest control industry at all, which require research and development too. So I've never described them as scientists, but they'd love to think that they're called scientists. I think I'll clip this and send it to them.
I will.
I'll clip this up and send them, and you're like, look, I told you a scientist.
Someone says you're a scientist. I think they'll love that. They'll be changing their job title and their email signature. Yes, we have research and development, and also another part of OptiCatch that we haven't even talked about yet is the unique diffusion coating. And so what we've developed is the shatterproof coating that you would see on a normal fluorescent lamp. We've developed a diffusion version of that, so one that kind of spreads the beam of the LED diodes in the OptiCatch product, because you'll see a lot of LED solutions in market, whether they're retrofit or otherwise, you see the individual spots. And so those individual spots are very concentrated UV output, which some would say attracts the insects really well. But all of our data suggests that actually, unless a fly is flying right in front of that one spot, it's not going to attract it. You need to widen that beam angle and spread that UV more like a fluorescent tube in order to catch flies really well. And so what we've developed is the shatterproof coating that we need in food environments anyway, but with an additive that means that it diffuses that UV and disperses it more evenly around the bulb. And so, yes, our research and development team worked very closely on that coating, perfecting that recipe to make sure that we get the right balance of shatterproofing with UV dispersion. It's quite a balancing act, but they've done really well with that. So they're a great team.
That's good. Because do you go and buy, like when you test, do you have to go and buy all the different machines on the market to test the retrofit? Is that what you do? Go and buy all the other machines to test them? Is that how it works?
I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say all of them, but the main ones in market, we made sure that we tested in as many different variants as we could, but we don't actually do the testing ourselves. So the test data is an independent lab based in Cardiff. And the reason why that's important is because obviously if we were doing the testing ourselves, well, firstly, I don't really want 200 flies buzzing around at Fotolec. That just feels like that would be crazy. But also it's independently tested, which means we can't be accused, of course, of making our product look better than it is because we've changed the results. So the results are put together independently. So we just collected all the different units that we wanted to test, and then they did it for us. And that's why I say when, if technicians want to ask how an LED product compares to fluorescent, it's quite important to ask for independent data, because I could, I could put together a spreadsheet tomorrow that says mine's better, but did I test it? How's that validated? Whereas if you've got the independent report, there's no question then, is there?
Oh, that's true. Thanks for that. I just thought I'd ask them questions because.
No, that's good questions. Yeah.
They got the scientists.
The scientists at Fotolec,
Yeah. Have you got anything else you wanted to talk about on OptiCatch? Because I wouldn't know what else to ask about OptiCatch. I wouldn't. Is there anything else?
Just that more lamp types are coming in the OptiCatch technology. So we've obviously started with the 18-inch T8, which is the main mover. It's the the most popular trap on the market is usually using those bulbs. But there's also a lot of 2-foot T8 lamps that are used. So we are developing a 2-foot version. We hope to expand into a full retrofit family so that irrespective of what bulb type customers are using, they are able to retrofit should they wish to. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen overnight, but that's what our scientists are busy with.
Yes. Oh, you're using the words. They're going to love you now. Now you're saying it.
I'm going to start calling them forever now. There's a full family coming, and actually, that will help make sure that we're totally ready for a fluorescent ban if and when that time comes, years down the line, is that we'll have a retrofit path, which means someone buying a trap today won't have to bin it in 2 years time or 5, or even, if I bought a trap today, I wouldn't even want to bin it in 7 years time, because I'm like, well, if it's still working, I want to use it until it stops working. So I think retrofit is going to be needed for, even 10 years down the line. There's going to be a trap sitting there that's still alive and kicking, and they still want to buy product that fits into it rather than a whole rewire of a new trap.
But that's good, because you've got to future-proof your business, haven't you? With what's you don't just think about what's now. You think of a whole roadmap, don't you? What's coming down the road? Otherwise, that's how it works, isn't it? It's
absolutely, especially with changing regulations, and this isn't just relevant to lamps. Actually, I think even in our industry, chemical regulations, it's a changing. Everything changes over time, and in what we are using today may not be what we're using in 5 years' time, whether that's because of regulation change or whether that's because something new comes to market, which is a way better technology and does the job better. It's really interesting because there's a strong push on digital. Everything's going digital in the world as a whole, but even in pest control. And I think that just shows that it's not just fluorescent lamps that will be different in the coming years. I think almost everything we use will go through some sort of technology change or regulation change, or maybe it won't, but who's to say where we'll be 15, 20 years from now? It's just constantly changing, isn't it?
It is. I'm experimenting with digital.
I know you are. When I said that, I wondered if you'd bring that up. Yeah,
it's it's the process. They have started to go off. I'm getting activations. We do even though it's a normal contract, like a monthly visit. To be fair, when we get activations, we just literally go, and we just go to that sensor to have a look and take a photograph.
So do you still do your sort of regular interval visits?
Yeah.
And then you just react to an activation as well? Because I think
it's part of a trial. This is. they're not paying anymore, but we just go. But if that was to be a different package, if that was to be going a package, is something different. But because it's a trial, we really feel like we should go and have a look, because I'm supposed to give feedback at the end of the 4 months to know what I think of it, because that's why I was allowed to be part of the trial. So I've really got to go and see what's happening as well.
But I suppose any not just what you're looking at, but any kind of digital system in any area of pest control, I suppose you could argue, you said to me rightly earlier on in the podcast, fluorescent lamps lasting 1 year and OptiCatch lasting 3 years means technicians can't go as often. So when we embraced AI and digital systems, what's the value of the pest controller? I think the value is not necessarily in visiting every month or every 3 months, but the value is in the proactive pest management and the service that delivers. And I think it's going to change. It's probably going to change the business model in a way, because you can't just charge in the same way, like you say. If you're not going out as often, or you're going out more frequently to react to things, how do you manage that?
There's like, obviously I spent time with Gary. So he came early in the morning and till about probably 12ish, and he spoke about that. Obviously, when the client weren't there, he said there's many different ways people do it. Some people install it and then they charge per visit, but obviously you got to understand, if you get an infestation and they keep going off, quite costly. But obviously, say they only go off a few times, like some of them never go off, because they got some installations where they're in sensitive areas, but they don't go off very often. But when they do, they get charged, and they get to look at all the data. There's many different ways of doing it. You see, there's many different versatile ways you can put a package together. There is, because it's all about and you can also hook that. Like, our client is actually hooked in, so they can see all the data too on the dashboard. So they know when it's happened. So there's many different ways you can do it with digital, but I'm liking playing with it at the minute. I am. I can't get my full feedback, obviously, because I've got to wait until it's finished, Yeah,
of course. You've got to see the trial through and see what you really think. Are you able to comment on what you feel about the price point? Do you think that the price point makes it unaffordable for many, or do you think that the price point is more reasonable than you'd have expected? I know you can't say what you would be charged, but generally, do you think that it's worth the investment?
The way it's structured, I would say it's more reasonable than I thought it was going to be. I'll leave it at that. I'll say. Yeah. I thought it was going to be a lot higher than that, but it is interesting. That's all I'll say on that. But I'm liking it. Just once I get more into it, and I would love more activations, because it's exciting getting activation. Weird.
And I suppose for me, it makes me wonder. The sort of smaller pest control businesses. I'm not talking about the large national companies, but the smaller, much like yourself and your father, you don't have 20, 30 employees. Would this sort of technology allow you to take on more contracts, because you don't have to be in a million different places at once? Does that potentially deliver growth to smaller businesses who can take on more?
Potentially, if you can if you can sell it the right way and get through certain doors, potentially. I'll say that, but you've obviously seen me advertising it as well on LinkedIn, that I can offer it. Yes. I have. That's me trying to see if I can get any more. It hasn't worked yet, just so you know. I've been trying, but I've probably got to try more. But to be fair,
I think a lot of people are probably waiting for the trial result.
That's probably what people are waiting for, the trial, end of the trial. But it could open up more doors for smaller businesses to go into bigger outfits. I don't mean massive nationals, I just mean bigger factories. I don't mean going too far, but it opens up the potential. It does. If you ask me.
I think that must be a huge huge benefit for those. It'd be good to see more business going to the smaller companies in the industry for sure, and kind of allowing them to keep ticking over and doing what they do.
Oh yeah, it's it is interesting. That's all I'll say on that. But to be fair, I mean, back last year we were all paper. You see, now we're on all our reports, as in treatment reports and so on, all digital. We've gone digital completely with commercial. You say sorry?
What was the reason for that? Was that a time-saving thing for you, or was that trying to be more kind of, I guess, planet-friendly and reduce your paper? Like, what was the driver for you to go digital?
My idea, because my dad didn't want to go digital. He was all about the paper diary, and now we still use the paper diary as a backup in case the system's down.
Yeah,
I imagine if you're a big company, you could never get away with that. And then we went Pest Tech in November. We had a look around, and my dad thought that Powered Now system was the one that we should go with. So I went with that, and we played with it for a long time until February, where we basically told customers, we're going digital. If you want to print it out and put it in your folder, you still can do that, but we won't be doing it. And to be fair, which surprised my dad, most businesses weren't too fussed. They were like, yeah, I like this actually. I can see they've got like a portal. They can send you messages. You can put photographs in there and everything. It's quite good. But also, my dad has realised that when you're doing a treatment report, it's actually easier and faster than writing it out in pen and paper. Because on contracts, like you obviously go to the same things like that, but it memorises a lot of words, so it will suggest on the tablet, suggest the words to you. I'm not saying every visit's the same, because it's not, but it has helped a lot with it going digital.
You said you do it on a tablet. Can you do it on your phone if you're sort of doing it quickly?
You can, but because I said to my dad, I said it's difficult on the phone. It's not that
small screen.
It's so I said, can't we get a tablet? No, I'll see if I can get it on. I won't show you it, but it's much easier. It is on the mobile. It don't get me wrong, but it's on the PC and the. So where are we? So just go to a daily. So it's like that. You got like that. It's difficult to say, but it's easy. It's easier.
Yeah, so you can see what you're doing. It's not like a small screen.
We've fully embraced it, and it's something that I never thought we'd be doing digital. It's me that pushed it, but my dad's all on board with digital now. So now we've got this digital trial, which I got involved with, because yet again that was my mouth on LinkedIn. So I thought digital was rubbish. And
been corrected.
Well, we'll see. But I am liking it so far. Stefan said, Powered Now customer service is fantastic. I had a trial with them last month, but I am heavily invested in ServiceMate and decided to stay with them. That's fair. It's each to their own, because the problem is, once you're on these systems, to move, you've got to move all that data over to another system, and it's not easy. Once you're in, they know.
Yeah,
they won't be bothered. They won't be bothered with changing. It's a lot to change, isn't it? You've got to change everything, and that's why.
I bet they don't talk to each other either. So I bet it's not like like when you get a new phone these days, you just log in and it just remembers everything you had on your old phone. It's really easy. I bet when you're changing systems, like from Powered Now to ServiceMate or vice versa, I'm sure they don't talk to one another properly. So it's just probably a minefield. I can understand why you'd stay with where you're invested, but still good to try other solutions and see what features you would like, and maybe feed that back to your existing supplier. So like, for example, Stephen said the Powered Now customer service is fantastic. If there was something about Powered Now he likes, he could go back to ServiceMate and say, I've seen this, is there any way you can integrate it? And then they might, take the feedback on board.
One thing I will say about Powered Now is they do listen to you. I gave them a long list when I joined. It's like, this is what I want. And to be fair, they have over time been introducing more and more. They've actually got a feature now where you can actually draw your own maps within the app. You've got your own maps. You can edit. If you've got a map, you can edit it. You can dot in where the boxes are. I've got to play with it more because they've had a load of upgrades recently, but they do listen. I'll give them that. They do listen.
That's what you want,
which is good.
The technology is only going to change over time, isn't it? So to know that they listen and, you know, will take new ideas on board, I think that gives you a more future-proof option, doesn't it?
It's definitely good. That is. But yeah, I didn't think I'd go digital. But yeah, small businesses can, because I thought it was too, you know, you think it's too expensive, but I mean, if you want, but we don't do it, but if you want to use their system, you can just take payments straight through their system. We don't do that, but you can do that.
What's stopping you from doing that? Is that just personal choice?
Personal choice, that is.
Yeah,
that's personal choice. Just we have our system set up the way we run things.
Makes sense.
We just reports, and we can send them if a client's paying by backs details. We can send them an invoice and they can pay through the bank, but obviously there is a system there, but that's just personal choice. But now, is there anything else on electronic fly killers you wanted to mention, or have you got all the myths, or is there more? Is there even more?
I'm trying to think.
No,
I think we have covered. I think we've covered a lot. Actually, we've done pretty well.
Yeah, look, hour and 15 minutes, and you probably wouldn't have enough to talk about.
I know. What did I think of? I was thinking, have we got an hour's worth of chatting us? But of course we have. We're always chatting, aren't we?
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, no, I think we've covered the main areas. But obviously, if anyone does, listen to this afterwards and have any questions, find me on LinkedIn, pop me a message. Always happy to help. I think it's about asking the right questions, isn't it, and making sure that you're making the right decision and not just a quick decision that perhaps isn't what's best for the client. So yeah, I think we've covered most of it.
Well, for the EFK we have. Now, I know you briefly mentioned that, like, with joining the NPTA's board, did you ever envision, before the advert came along, did you actually envision trying to join a committee or a board within the pest control of some description? Was it, no, you just seen it advertised and like that was it? You were like...
I'd literally never thought about it. It wasn't something that I'd thought about it and thought, no, that won't happen. It just had never entered my mind. And then I saw the ad. I must have seen it on LinkedIn. I can't remember exactly. Must have been LinkedIn. But I thought, what? That's actually what I'm about, And I didn't really do it sort of as Jasmine from Fotolec. I'm doing it more as Jasmine, someone who feels invested and aligned with the pest control industry, and I feel quite passionate that there's lots of areas that we need to collaborate on and improve further. I'm quite passionate about women in pest control. I think that there's not enough women in the role.
You were featured.
Sorry?
You were featured today on socials.
I know, and how funny that came out the day that I was on your podcast to talk about.
I messaged Kevin. I'll say, did you? I messaged him and said, did you schedule that? He says, no. He said it literally. He says, you were meant to do it before, then we had to cancel. It worked out right. I said, so you didn't switch it around? He said, no, just a pure coincidence.
It's so funny. Yeah, I saw that this morning. But yeah, I mean, I spoke in that video about, women in pest control. There's lots of amazing women, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's none, but I think it's an area that I felt passionate about. And I did talk about that, in my interviews to be a board member, is that not just in the industry, in the NPTA board, there needed to be even more women. So I'm really glad that there now is. There's quite a few of us now, isn't there? But not just that, I think, the 5 under 25, I'm really passionate about that. I think that's a great scheme, because I really think that the youth need to be made aware of what a fantastic industry this is. I don't think anyone sits in school and says, oh, I want to be a pest controller. It's very rare that someone would aspire at that age, but actually a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of hearing how other people get into it and how they, what they do day to day. And I think we could get more youth definitely in the industry. So that's why I like what the MPTA stands for. And so when that came up, it was like a no-brainer that I had to apply. And I was absolutely chuffed when I saw that you were on the board at the same time as well, because I didn't know you'd applied. Obviously we hadn't spoken about it.
No.
But I was dead chuffed as well.
Did you think that you were going to get it? Did you think that you were going to actually get on the board? Did you think or not? Did you think you had a chance, or did you?
Do you mean after applying?
Yeah. Did you think after you had your meetings, and because it's all new to me, I've never done anything like it. But did you feel confident about your chances, or?
I felt that the interview went well because I like talking, I like chatting about things that I'm passionate about. So I felt it had gone well, but I wouldn't say I felt confident, because I could tell that they'd had several applicants, and I think that speaks volume about the association, just how many applicants they had. And so I wasn't sure how many they were obviously appointing. And so I think I just hoped that I'd been successful, but I never felt like, yes, I've got that in the bag, What about you?
No, I didn't because I'm very different from what people are normally like on a board of directors. You see, I'm very outspoken, and I did make it clear in the in the interviews that this is how I am, and I will try and be more toned down, but in the messages I deliver. But in meetings, I met in meeting situations where if I got something to say, I will just say it. I will, and don't be offended. But I did struggle with the meeting though, because they had to rephrase some of the questions because I didn't kind of get what they meant. Because I'm not used to like Zoom calls and all Teams meetings. That was a new world to me, and now I'm quite used to it. I am.
To be honest, before COVID, I'd never had a Teams meeting. I don't think nothing springs to mind. I feel like COVID has made Teams meetings like a really done thing in the corporate world now. But go back 5 years, 5-6 years, I don't think they were that common at all. I think people picked up the phone a lot more back then.
They did.
Maybe,
they did. I know you're a more, if you can, you're a more in-person person if you can do it.
You can.
It's
not always possible because obviously.
Have you been there yet?
Sorry.
Have you been to HQ? Have you been to HQ yet?
I think I will go for the next board meeting because I'd love to go.
I'm not sure because I got lost in Nottingham. I was terrible. Oh man, I was all right on the way. It's on the way home.
Yeah.
I might go if it's light outside. If it's not dark on the way home, I might be all right. I'm not a city driver. Not a city like Nottingham.
No,
I'm not. But I'm very different. I just thought, on the day when they tell you, I was nervous as hell. Honestly, I was actually nervous. I was like, oh, well, it was like 3:00. I was like, nah, I've not got it.
Oh.
It's too late. It's too late in the day. Then Kevin rang me and says, how do you think you did, Shaun? Well, can you just tell me? He says, no, I just want to know how you think you did. I said, well, I think I came across okay. Everyone said I did well and things like that. I said, so I'd like to appoint you to the board. He says you were shortlisted after your first, but he says you were technically at the second. Something like that. It was something like that. Yeah. You were shortlisted with the second. And after that, but he says there's a legal process. He says I couldn't say anything with regards to that. But yeah, he says I'd like to appoint you. I says, no, he says he's joking. I was nearly crying. I tell you, I was like, really? Me?
That's so good.
But I was like, I couldn't believe it because that's something I know you didn't envision it, but I did. I envisioned it in the next 5 years, not this fast, but I still applied. I did.
I think that shows just how much you care, though, which is obviously really good.
Sorry, I had to learn how to write a CV. I had to go on. I used Canvas Professional. I didn't know how. CVs have changed since I first made a CV. Like I had to look up templates. So I just did what I didn't put anything in about other jobs I had. I just put it was all pest control related. Anything I'd done, even content wise, I brought that into it. I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was something I was passionate about doing. It's not something I thought I would get, but it worked. It shows how times are changing in the industry. It does, because I wouldn't call myself a normal. I wouldn't call myself a normal bog standard person in the industry that just sits silent and doesn't say anything. So I might be wrong. I don't know. I just,
No, I think you're right.
I'm pleased.
I think the whole industry just never stops. Like, there's always something changing, or there's always something improving, and so having a board that reflects that drive and that energy is really important for any trade association. So I think that definitely it's a positive, and the fact you cared that much, that you were that nervous when you were finding out, I think it just shows that you've got that passion for the industry as a whole. So
because when it goes late in the day, you always think, there's no chance I've got it. It's too late in the day.
I know what you mean.
4 o'clock. It was at 4 o'clock. You rang me. I was like, just before I was picking my kids up. Oh, he was. I'm telling you, he was. If he's watching,
but he was making me sweat. You go back to the CV thing. Well, I've actually been at Fotolec 14 years this year, so I did not have a CV ready either, because the last time I applied for a job was 14 years ago. So you're right. It makes you really think about, God, how much has changed in that time? What do CVs look like now? How should they read? And you're right. It has changed. I think everything just changes, doesn't it?
It does.
Over the years. So, yeah. But no, now we're well in our roles and enjoying our NPTA board, aren't we?
Yeah. Pest Tech Committee crew. You're on it now, aren't you? You are.
Yeah. Pest Tech will be fantastic. I think it is always fantastic, but I'm very excited this year.
You're getting an NPTA uniform.
Ooh.
You usually get one.
I've actually got.
I haven't got one. Oh.
I've got an NPTA jacket behind me. Oh, it's blurred. Can you see that?
Kevin, that's an NPTA where's my jacket?
I got that at PPC Live.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I might message them now saying, "Where's mine?"
So I've seen Jasmine's. Where's mine?
Yeah. With Fotolec, you obviously started from the ground up, but now you're in much more of a senior role.
Mm-hmm.
As in, you're kind of one of the owners now, aren't you?
I'm a shareholder.
Shareholder. Yeah. How did that come about then? You don't have to mention ins and outs, just an interesting story.
I like talking about this. So I joined Fotolec in 2011. I was 18. Long story short, I didn't want to go to uni after my A-levels. I made the decision to get my foot in the door in a local business and work. Okay. I didn't want to move away for uni. And I think, in all honesty, I wasn't sure what I actually wanted to study. So, there was a job going at Fotolec it was basically customer service. I was answering the phone, answering emails, putting orders on the system. It was an entry-level position.
Okay.
And I'd never thought about shatterproof coatings before in my life. Obviously, you don't really think about these things when you're 18.
Are you sure you did?
Sorry?
Are you sure? You think do you want to make shatterproof glass?
Yeah, that's like your aspiration when you're 4. Yeah. What do you want to be when you're older? And so I really enjoyed that job very quickly. I found it quite overwhelming initially, in terms of, I thought, oh my God, I'll never know the difference between a T5 and a T8, because when you're new, everything was like, whoa. Yeah. Very quickly found my feet, understood the technical side of things, was really enjoying the role. Stayed there. I've had 3 children, so I went on maternity leave with my first daughter, came back, then had my middle child, my eldest son. And then after that, when I went back after maternity leave from having him, I was promoted to sales office manager. So it was a bit of a step up from the entry level position that started. So I really enjoyed that, and I was really, really enthused by that. And I think it was around that time, so that would have been 2016. I started to think about the wider context of not just what are we doing day to day in this office, but where are these products going, who's using them, what industry are they being used in? And that's where I started to think about the pest control industry a little bit more. And then, fast forward to 2022, we went through a management buyout where myself and two colleagues who have also had a very long service at Fotolec, we basically, essentially, long story short, purchased the business and continued to run it day to day together, the three of us. Huge opportunity for me personally, but also it then meant that I became sales director, and I have now got the opportunity to meet people like yourself, put myself out there a little bit, go to industry events and really put faces to names and understand the real people in the industry. So that's kind of gone full circle for me now. So that's just a quick kind of overview of how that all came to be. But what I really like about Fotolec is that we have a very low turnover of staff. All of our staff have been with us many years, and it's a real family feel. And I just really like that. I think that, we're all really close, and that's why we all, do a good job and enjoy our day to day.
It's a great story because, you don't often hear that the boss has allowed some valued employees that have been there a long time. This day and age, it's grab. Normally, it's a big MMA deal come in and it's acquired. But it's nice. It shows how nice your boss was to allow you all to club together and buy it as a. I feel that was nice because in this day and age, it's all about these big get outs.
You're absolutely right, and I think as well, when you get these big mergers and these big acquisitions, the staff who have been there many years often feel a bit displaced because all the things they know have changed, and quite often there's new systems, new management, and it can unsettle. It can disrupt the flow of the business when you go through these things. So to have it, the three of us who have all been here many years, and we just carried on with the day to day, I think it was less disruptive to the existing staff. Certainly, it was a brilliant opportunity for us and allowed us to really navigate the changing technology of LED and develop and innovate all of us together without some exterior kind of new pairs of eyes coming in and changing the direction of travel. It says a lot about the previous owner, and I will always be grateful, for sure, that he went down that route.
That's very nice. Has he still got a small holding in the company, or is he completely gone?
He's we still see him every month. So he's still very closely involved. But
that's good. That's still nice though. Just have he's got his little foot still in the door. So that's nice. I think
when you spend 40 hours a week with someone for that many years, irrespective of what happens in terms of management buyouts and things, that individual is still valued, and you would still always make an effort to catch up and run things by them, and still see him every month.
That's good. That's good to hear. That it's a good story. When you were messaging me telling me, I just got to get that on the podcast. I was like, that's a great story. I like that.
Yeah, I do like that. It supports that we're kind of it to me is a family business, whether it's now run by the original family that founded the business or not, we are family, and I think that comes through day to day. So I do like talking about that.
It's good to hear. It's a good story that I'm sure a lot of people find quite cool, because how the pest control industry is nowadays at the minute, it's all everyone's being bought up or they're trying to buy everything up, and he could have literally just took a big pile of money and been gone, but he didn't. That shows that he's a good person, or she. Sorry,
and then equally, it is a he.
Okay.
But equally, I really like the story of how you got into pest control as well, because obviously you were not very happy in a factory sort of pre-COVID, were you? Is that right? And then you kind of went to your dad and sort of fell in love with it. So I think that's just as nice a story, even though it's a slightly different entry into the industry.
Yeah. 16 years in a terrible factory that shouldn't have, But like, it's why I try and tell people that I make a post every so often, telling people to find what they're passionate about, because I don't want people to do what I did. I just, I was obviously, you're young, you go drinking and all that. I just kept my job, but I stayed there that long. I was actually scared to leave. You see, but then
that happens a lot.
But you get. I try and emphasise, because a lot of young people do fall into them jobs in towns where everyone goes when they leave school.
Yeah,
and you wake up and you're 40 and you're regretting it. Well, I don't want that to happen to other people. Some people might love that. That might be their thing. But if I could roll the clock back my dad wasn't in pest control. He's the one that got me into it. That's kind of why I do tell that story so often. It's like there's a family member that he's my cousin, and I'm trying to say to his mum, make sure he finds his passion, because he's literally in the same kind of not the same place. Just it could happen to him. That's all I'm warning him. It's a circle. Some people though, that's it for them. That's fine. But I wish I could roll the clock back, but you can't, can you?
No. And you're right. I think work is a lot less of a slog if you love what you do.
Oh, I hated what I did. It was toxic. Toxic workplaces where everyone swears at you, and people are old school. It's all racism and all that. A very, very old-fashioned place where your boss, you don't shout at people nowadays, do you?
No.
Well, no. That's what happened down there. Very old school. However, it taught me a lot of things. It did. But yeah, good story. Yours is a good story too.
Yeah, we've both got good stories how we came to be in the industry. So yeah, I like that. There's quite a lot of stories like that in this industry, to be fair.
There is. I mean, it's like a lot of people wouldn't think that somebody who lives in the smallest county in England, Rutland, would be on the board of directors for MPCA. Might not have been here for much longer. We're losing Rutland,
Oh, really?
Under all these borders with the government.
Oh, right. Yeah. So what would you become?
Don't know yet currently. We're trying to keep ceremonial status to say we are Rutland. But we're going to have to join some other counties. But we'll see. I just wish it wasn't happening. There's no need for it. But I'm not going to get political. But I love saying I'm from Rutland.
Well, you can still say it. You can still say it.
Oh, I will, because it does say in the counties all joined up. I think they will still class you as that area.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They will. But yeah, it's been a good podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Very educational. It has.
And I do apologise that we had to cancel the other week, but I sent you a voice note, didn't I, of my lack of voice? It wasn't really a voice note, was it? It was just like
because I had it, didn't I, when I was with Carl? I was a bit croaky, and on a few YouTube shorts I got, you got the well croaky voice. I messaged back, I had a poorly voice. So I thought it's better. Plus, my other headset packed up, so I got this new one.
Your new one,
so that also saved me as well. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but yeah. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
Who would you like to see on this podcast? I know I'm nipping what the Beauties and Beasties do, but I seem to say it anyway. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to actually say the same as what I said when I went on Beauties and Beasties, because I haven't seen him on there yet.
Okay.
Tom Holmes. He used to work for Pelsith, but he is now an independent industry consultant. And
I'll look him up.
He is fantastic. Really knows his stuff. Really, he did a talk actually at PPC Live, which was really good about insect light traps. And yeah, definitely, I think it'd be worth reaching out to him.
Yeah, is he on LinkedIn?
He is. Yeah, I'll send you his details.
To be fair, I might have him on LinkedIn and just not realised.
You probably do, because isn't there?
I've got loads of people on my LinkedIn.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's a good shout. That sounds good. That does.
And then you can just rate Beauties and Beasties and get him first.
yeah. I got Sam Tricky the other week. He was first. He's not been on there yet. Yeah. But no, it's all good. They good bunch of guys. They are.
Yeah, fantastic.
They are. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Is there anything you'd want to? Oh, thanks, Ask Pest Control for watching the show.
Yeah, thanks for watching till the end.
He will be coming on soon. He is booked in.
Oh,
yeah, he's
very
booked
exciting.
in.
I'll make sure I tune into that one. Yep.
But thanks, everyone. Is there anything you wanted to say as a final say or promote or anything? I will put your link in the descriptions if you want.
That would be lovely. No, I think we've covered everything, and I think now everyone knows exactly what questions to ask when making their decision on what light source should be in their inset light trap. So I won't go on and on about that anymore. So yeah, thank you for having me on. And if anyone has any questions, I'm on LinkedIn. Message me. Would gladly connect.
Good to hear. Just got to do a couple of shout outs for the podcast because they keep shouting me out and I keep forgetting to do it live. So it's on the tablets. I can't forget.
You can't forget.
So shout outs to the two guys, Brad and Jack from Tales from the Crawl Space in America. I really get on with them. I talk to them a lot. I first went on their international podcast last year. I wasn't on camera. I was nervous. Now, let me preface this. I was nervous because on the Pest Control podcast, because at the time I was doing gaming, which I was fully confident about. Now, with Pest Control, I made some mistakes in what I said as well. I was nervous. But I really get on with them. And they watched the Beauties and Beastie. I'll see if I can find it. Maybe it's a different one, but he reckoned that he watched the show, he listened to the show back, Jack did, and he says he reckons I've really come into I'm not saying exactly the right way, but he's saying I've really come into my podcast game and I've got my podcast chops, as he says, that I'm really confident. I don't look nervous. I don't look nervous anymore, he said, and he said they both said they're proud of me. They are. They're good lads, they are. And also, shout out to the Pestogen podcast, which I don't know if you've listened to yet. They're two. I
have. And I think they went on Beauties and Beasties as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they will. They'll be coming on this show. But Jenny, if you listen to this show, you'll hear her call me. She calls me, I'm a big brother in podcasting. So we started at the same time. We started around the same time, so that's what she calls me. She does message me a lot as well. But if you haven't checked out that podcast, go and check that out. And obviously, shout out to the Beauties and Beasties. I went on a controversial topic last week about don't put pest control companies shouldn't put dead animals on their social medias, not pest controllers. You should go and watch that if you haven't watched that. I know you have. You watched it live, but just giving some shout outs because I keep forgetting. Also, if you collect CPD, the British Pest Register, you can get your CPD for this show and last week's. I need to go and update the CPD so people can do it. And the CPD diary for Basis Prompt. And Basis Prompt watches space. And that's all for this week. But thanks, Jasmine, for coming on. It's been great. Thanks for giving up some time for me.
No, thank you.
So, all right, and everyone, next week, I'll tell you who we got on. I will. Let's have a look on the phone this week. So next week, we've got Francis from Hatch Pest Control in Nigeria. Yeah, he's coming on. Nice. We have.
Good.
So I did like the Beauties and Beasties show he was on. So
I saw that as well. Yeah, that was good.
That'll be good next week. But same time next week at 8:30 on Tuesday. But yeah, thanks everyone. And I'll speak to you all soon.
Thank you. Bye.